I'm Kevin Gaffney. I'm Leonard Kaplan's guest on What Do You Want to Do?
Welcome to What Do You Want to Do, the show that will hopefully help you figure out what you want to do in life or reconnect you to what you love doing. Each show has a guest who is doing what they want to do, whether it's in their career or in addition to their regular job. Most importantly, we want to help you realize that no matter your age, you too can do what you want to do if you have the will to do it. Now here's your host, Leonard Kaplan.
Welcome to part 2 of What Do You Want to Do? More conversation with Kevin Gaffney on what it is to be an airplane pilot, what it takes, what his experiences have been, and would he advise other people to do it, and if so, how? Part 2 of What Do You Want to Do? Kevin Gaffney.
I'll say it on behalf of my industry. Thank you to the taxpayer because you allowed most of us to keep our job.
Wow.
Otherwise, it would have been devastating. There would have been massive layoffs, and tens of thousands of people would have lost their ability to feed their families and keep a roof over their head. So that was a major hit for our industry. And we were fortunate that the government saw fit to allow the taxpayers to take care of us. Other industries, especially small businesses, didn't fare so well. And that's kind of tough to look at, knowing that on one hand, I was taken care of, or I should say my industry was. And on the other hand, some other industries, not so much.
But you were grounded for a while, correct?
I was working a schedule when this whole thing broke about the second week of March in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of my month got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
I was told to just, stay by the phone. We'll see if we need you. We'll see if we have anything going for you.
Right.
April, it got worse. I had bid a schedule already for April. It had come out, but we hadn't gotten into the month yet. So they took everybody's schedule away. And for the next couple of months, it was rocky because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if we were going to be allowed to fly again. We didn't know if people were going to feel comfortable to come back and fly again. The subsidies helped last. Air travel is very important to commerce. It's not just people taking the little ones to Disney World. There's a lot of different businesses and industries that have to go from point A to point B for meetings, contract talks, sales, whatever it is that they're doing. So we are a useful tool for the economy. The government sees it that way, and because of that, we were allowed to operate at quite a loss and not have to lose our jobs.
That's the thing. Wow. Now, who takes care of the sterilization, the precautions, and cleaning the plane? That's all flight attendant stuff, correct?
No, it's not. When people typically get on an airplane, they don't think about how many people it actually takes to get them from wherever it is they're getting on or wherever it is they're getting off.
Right.
So the obvious is the pilots and the
Mhm.
flight attendants. You see them occasionally. You might notice a maintenance person coming on or coming off. Of course, you probably saw the gate agent as you were boarding the airplane because
Yeah.
that person probably scanned your ticket or your cell phone. And beyond that, people don't really consider the dozens, if not hundreds, of other people necessary in order to make that flight happen. From the IT department that puts up the website that you bought your ticket from, or if you're old-fashioned, you called and bought it over the phone. Those are people. There are, of course, management types that run the airline and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. You get your maintenance people, you get caterers, you get cleaners. We get a group we call the below the wing people. And one group is responsible for servicing the lavatories and the water that we use on the airplane. Another group is responsible for marshaling the airplane into the gate because they're big. It's not like pulling into the mall in your parking spot in the parking lot, finding a spot and pulling right in. We need a team of people to help us do that. And it's like I said, for any one given flight, as a pilot, there's at least a dozen people I can see. There's dozens more that I can't see that I know about, and that most folks don't know about. So that's part of what makes it a ticket cost what it costs.
Yeah.
You're not just paying the people that you see.
Sure.
There's a lot of people their salaries have to be paid to make this whole thing come together as seamlessly as possible.
So pilots not only just fly the plane, I don't mean just fly the plane, but you're responsible for more than flying the plane.
Oh, absolutely. We typically get to the airplane an hour before departure time, and we're planning, we're checking, we're discussing. Well, the first thing that I would do after I put my bag up in the cockpit is I'll look over all the documentation for the airplane maintenance logs, make sure there's nothing currently being dealt with that would prevent us from going from a maintenance standpoint. There's certain sign-offs that we need to have over certain timeframes. I need to make sure that those are there, that they have signatures, and that they're properly dated. Then I'll do an inspection of the cockpit, and I'll look and see if there's something that I notice that doesn't work, that the previous crew or the previous maintenance folks didn't notice, or that perhaps broke in between, and I would have to get that taken care of. Then I would make my way outside, and I would do what we call a walk around the airplane, physically inspect it with my eyes and hands on the outside to see if there's anything that needs to be addressed before the airplane can go, or occasionally there may be something that will prevent the airplane from going. So we check all of that stuff, and then we come in. It's usually a team of two. For any flight that's under 9 hours, it's only 2 pilots. Anything over 9, it may be 3 pilots, or if it's over 14, it'll be a complete complement of 2 different crews of 2 pilots. Wow. So they split the time and the duties up. But there's a lot of paperwork to go over, a lot of discussing to go over. People probably don't realize that we have something called an MEL, a minimum equipment list. There are components on the airplane that are allowed to not be functioning, and we can still go. So we have to refer to this book, which tells us under what conditions can we go, if any, with a certain component that's not operable. And what do we have to do as a result of not having that and being able to use it? So there's a lot of things that we look at and check at. It's not like loading up the family wagon, kicking the tires, and then driving to the beach or the mountains.
That's amazing. I never knew all that. I'm glad I asked that question. That's pretty fascinating stuff. So now I want to go somewhere. I haven't been anywhere for a couple of years because of COVID. Sure. Is it safe, in your opinion, to be traveling like to Florida or to California?
This is a question that pilots get asked a lot. And the best way to answer this question is, if I didn't think it was safe, I wouldn't be going to work. So you can rest assured, if you see the folks that do the job, they feel comfortable that it's safe. Otherwise, they wouldn't go. That not only goes for COVID, it goes for anything. Yeah. People get nervous about the weather. People get nervous because I go into different continents. Geographically, there may be something going on in the vicinity of where you're going. Yeah. We have briefing rooms prior to going to the airplane. And I can remember several years ago, I want to say it was 2014 or 2015, the Palestinians were constantly launching rockets at that point in time at Israel. And we had crews going to Tel Aviv every night. So that type of thing is concerning. And any pilot that doesn't feel like it's a good idea to go or safe, they wouldn't go. It's the same thing with COVID. COVID at first was scary. It's still scary. I'm not trying to suggest that I'm dismissing it. Yeah. However, I'm going to say that after 2 weeks of being in the house and COVID first broke, I went to Stop and Shop. And before going, I didn't know if I was going to return because of what I was seeing on TV and the internet about the virus and not knowing anything about it. And I've got my mask on, but is that enough? And like anything else, as we deal with things, we get a little bit more comfortable without being stupid, to be quite frank with you. Yeah. I always felt that an airplane's has always been a good place to get sick because of the fact that you get people from all walks of life, all cultures, varying levels of hygiene. If you don't clean things thoroughly yourself, if you're counting on someone else to clean it thoroughly, I'll be honest with you, it's not going to happen. We clean. We don't take the time we need to take to disinfect everything because we can't. We wouldn't be able to operate a schedule, but we do a lot, and it is clean. And a big thing is the air on the airplane is constantly filtered, and those filters are changed quite a bit. So I feel very comfortable between the filter changing, the cleaning that we're doing, and the fact that everybody is required to wear a mask covering their nose and mouth on an airplane. I feel good going to work with that.
That makes me feel good because I think I might travel to Florida
You should.
in April, because I got a lot of people to see down there. There's Disney, of course. I haven't been there. I have to have my Disney.
Never heard
Disney
of it.
fix. Anyway, so we've come to the part of the show, Kevin, where I would like you to give advice to those who are thinking about a career being a pilot. How would they go about it? Would you advise it? Where would you suggest that they go? Should they go military training? Should they go civilian training? What would you tell someone like that?
I'll give blanket advice because everybody has specific goals in life that they exactly want to do. If the goal is to become an airline pilot, the very first thing that I would do is go to a local airport. And I'm not talking about Logan or Kennedy or LAX, because those are for commercial carriers. Your first flying lesson alone out of an airport like that would cost you so much that would probably dissuade you from ever going again. So if you go to your local a local airport in Massachusetts, you've got Beverly, you've got one in Lawrence, you've got one up in Tewksbury, you've got down in Taunton, Mansfield, Marshall. They're all over the place. If you're not from the community, you might not realize it. But there's probably one within 30 minutes driving time. The very first thing I would do is call the airport manager. That number will be published, and ask if they have a flight school, and then set up an appointment for what they call a demo flight. A demo flight is anywhere from a 15-minute to 1 hour flight. Well, you'll get to go up and experience it, and that's the start of whether or not it's something that's for you. It's fun, but it's hard work. And it's expensive. So for people going into it, they have to realize the expense involved, the time involved, the effort involved. Just like anything else, nothing is easy in life. Right. You have to put in a maximum effort into doing it. But I tickle myself every day. The worst part of my job is getting to work and getting from work. I love everything else about it. And I consider myself fortunate because a lot of my friends and family members don't feel the same way about their job. And if you have a passion for it and you're doing it for the flying, that's the right reason to do it. If you do it because you watched, what was that Leonard DiCaprio movie with Pan Am several years ago? Catch Me If You Can. Was that it?
Maybe. I can't remember.
If you think that that's the lifestyle of a pilot, that's the wrong reason to go into the business, and it's not true. Hollywood likes to embellish. And I wish I wish all of my overnights were 30 hours on a beach in Maui, but they're not. But that's okay because I'm here for the flying because that's what I like. And someone actually pays me to do it. I can't believe it.
That's amazing.
Well, I would start off at a local flight school, and then I would look into how much it's going to cost. The route to go years ago would have been the military because of cost. The military requires a pretty big commitment now, time-wise. And you can get to an airline. Younger guys right now can get to an airline a lot quicker than I did. We had a lot of obstacles. Folks from my generation had a lot of obstacles because we had military pilots from the Vietnam era and just after that, where the military was hiring and training. All of those guys, when they came out and got airline jobs, they were relatively young, so there was literally no retirement going on. And then in the early 2000s, of course, we had September 11th, which devastated the industry. We had the Gulf Wars. We had huge costs in oil, which stunted the growth of the airlines. Then we started seeing mergers and bankruptcies. The retirement age for a pilot used to be 60. They raised it to 65. So there's always something that when you think everything is good and you think you can rest and you're all set and you get it made, you have to watch out. You always have, with anything in life, you should always have a plan B. Right. I've always had a plan B just in case plan A didn't work. And fortunately for me, it's working thus far, but I still get 12 years to go before retirement. And I'm not so sure that something else won't happen that will devastate the industry.
Oh, geez, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, for this time. And
I appreciate it. I had fun. It was a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for joining me on What Do You Want to Do? Part 2 with my interview with Kevin Gaffney. Join me again next week for another guest. And until then, what do you want to do?